Welcome back to another Google AdMob developer tutorial. My name is Justin Malandrucolo, and today I'll be migrating an Android app from the old Google Mobile Ads SDK to the new SDK. I'll be walking through a migration of our existing interstitial example project, which is linked in the description if you'd like to follow along, that uses our old SDK and migrate it to our new SDK. By the end of this video, you'll be able to initialize the new SDK, request an ad, and handle callbacks from a background thread. To get started with the new Google Mobile Ads SDK, you'll need to update the dependencies in your app's build.gradle file. This process involves a few parts: adding the new SDK and ensuring the old SDK is completely excluded to prevent future conflicts. In your dependencies block, start typing com.google and look for Android, libraries, ads, and let code completion help you with the rest. It's recommended to use the latest version, which can be found in our Getting Started documentation linked in the description. And then we can remove the old SDK and sync Gradle. Now I need to make sure my project has a min SDK version of 24 or higher and a compile SDK version of 34 or higher. Compile SDK is good. I'll update min SDK and sync Gradle once more. It is also important to exclude the old SDK module. Mediation adapters continue to depend on the old Mobile Ads SDK, but the new Google Mobile Ads SDK includes all classes required by mediation adapters. Let me show you. I've added an example mediation adapter to my project. I'm going to run my app. You'll see these numerous duplicate class errors with references to the old Google Mobile Ads SDK. To avoid having the old SDK be pulled in as a dependency by third-party libraries such as mediation adapters, add a configuration block and explicitly exclude the old SDK module, preventing any conflicts. Now I can sync Gradle, and the previous errors have been resolved. With the build configuration done, it's time to initialize the SDK. With the new SDK, initialization is mandatory before you can load any ads. I'll walk through how this is done. Let's start in my main activity class, where I have my existing initialization code. We'll resolve these errors, but first let's set up the new Initialize call. The new SDK requires a new initialization config API. Remember how you put your AdMob app ID in the Android manifest file? With the new SDK, we now pass in the AdMob app ID programmatically, so let's copy our existing app ID and paste it into the code. Side note, notice how I'm not removing this code because the UMP SDK still uses the app ID from the manifest, which I have integrated in the project. Now back to the activity class. After I build the init config, I can then include it as a new parameter in the Initialize method. This modernized approach improves testing and clear version control. Alright, now let's resolve this error. Initialize is still red. Let's see why. It looks like we're still referencing the old SDK. We can tell because it says gms.ads. So let's remove all imports from the old SDK, and hopefully Android Studio can help us import the new SDK. Let's try this again. We now get an import suggestion. I'm going to click on it and make sure to import the correct SDK. The ads.mobile.sdk package is the one we want. And fantastic, the errors go away. We're ready to initialize the SDK, but we still need to resolve some more errors, so let's move on to the next steps. Alright, we've got some high-level errors, so I'll hover over the classes and see what's going on. Interstitial ad, we can import that. Easy. Ad request, import that. Easy. Now as for the migration part, let's talk about the most important changes to how you request ads. With the new SDK, you now pass your ad unit ID directly to the ad request object when you build it, instead of passing it to the ads load method. So we can remove it and just copy and paste it right there in the add request. And we no longer need to pass in a context, so we can just remove that completely. Alright, we're getting closer. We just need to resolve the callback APIs. With the new SDK, there's this new generic add load callback API that we can use. It requires a type. So for our case, interstitial add satisfies that requirement. We could get rid of those parentheses, no longer needed. One last import error, we could fix that. And now we have a fully functioning load add method using the new SDK for our interstitial add. And now we can move on to the next step, handling callbacks on a background thread. Alright, the last topic in this video is a very important technical change to be aware of, handling add callbacks. With the new SDK, all add load and event callbacks, like onAddLoaded, are now delivered on a background thread, not the main UI thread as before. This is great for app performance, but it means any work you do in that callback that touches the UI must be posted back to the main thread. This includes adding a banner view to your layout, showing a toast, updating a button, etc., etc. If you don't explicitly execute the code from the main thread, your app will crash. Now, as is, I'm going to run my app and I fully expect it to crash because I was showing a toast in the callback. Got a crash, that's expected. Let's check the crash logs. Looks like something related to my toast, but let's click on this Ask Gemini button available in Android Studio to see what Gemini has to say about the crash. Alright, this looks pretty detailed and thorough. Okay, in summary, the root cause is just as I thought. It's because I'm showing a toast on a background thread. This makes sense. Thank you, Gemini. We can resolve this in my activity by moving the toast into its run on UI thread method. Now we can rerun the project and it should be a-okay. All right, we've got the toast, we've got the add, and there we have it. The key takeaway here is always make sure your UI updates from add callbacks happen on the main thread. And now we've got a fully functioning app that started with the old SDK and working with the new SDK. Migrating to the new Google Mobile Ads SDK sets you up for the latest features and performance improvements. For more details and to copy these code snippets, be sure to check out the official documentation, which we've linked in the video description. We hope the video was helpful for you. Feel free to give it a thumbs up and also join our new Discord channel dedicated to discussion of the new SDK, to chat with the team and other developers. And remember to subscribe to AdMob for more technical content.